That didn't feed so well.
Today we are checking out a rifle that seemed to check a lot of boxes with how and what it is made of and the cost factor as well. This is the RD USA Mark 1 Mod 1 patrol rifle in a 14.5 pin weld configuration with a muzzle device set up for the RD line of suppressors. Now in the modern market that is flooded with rifles at every price point you can imagine, it is very difficult to stand out amongst the crowd. The only real way to do so is to offer a lot for a reasonable price that gets people interested in. And that is what RD tried to do with this Mark 1 Mod 1 Patrol, because it seems to come with all the right stuff at a pretty good price point to include some really nice flip-up Griffin armament sights. All right, now the Mark 1 Mod 1 Patrol from RD USA. This was sent out for review, but as you guys all know, nobody gets a free pass here on the channel, so as things happen on the range, you definitely get to see that. Now, before we get into everything that this rifle is, I'd like to give a big shout to my Patreons, and of course, the sponsors that make all of this content here possible. The biggest one being Brownells. They have been my go-to in the industry since long before I was doing YouTube content. Awesome people. They carry a ton of stuff that you're probably gonna need if you're into anything like we do here. And they're just a massive structure of support here in the Second Amendment community. And if you are looking for some prime suede-backed leather hybrid holsters, check out my friends at Hidden Hybrid Holsters. They make slick stuff to keep you comfortable and carrying every single day. All right, the RD Mark 1 Mod 1 Patrol Rifle right here. So if you don't know who RD USA is, it's the sister company to Radical Firearms, whatever your opinion may be of them. RD is the element of the company that makes the suppressors, which are pretty cool actually. And they make these line of rifles. So technically it's a different side of the house where they make more duty rated or kind of nicer stuff that you would actually carry out there and like patrol or use much harder. As far as what this thing's made of and what it comes with, that's going to be very important, especially for the price point of $12.99. You can get this in two different configurations, either a 16-inch or the 14.5 pin weld, so you can run it with one of their suppressors and be a little bit shorter all in the 14.5. Obviously the 14.5 was my choice because that's where you kind of get the best all-around performance and a little bit shorter length as long as you're using the right ammunition. This rifle will come with B5 furniture, a standard buffer tube with multiple points for your stock, and an H2 buffer and a QD end plate. However, it seems to be that that QD end plate is machined a little bit high up to the tube because it won't work with most of my Magpul or BCM QD attachments. So a little bit of pain in the nut. It kind of makes contact with the castle nut when you try to use it. The upper and the lower are 70-75 forged aluminum with type 3 anodizing. You get a 7-sided M-LOK rail, which is just the way to go in my opinion these days. It's got beefy hardware that interfaces into the upper receiver. So there's pretty much no way you're going to rotate this rail. It's thermal fit to the upper, and unless you break it, it's staying where it is. It's got a pretty slick battle arms charging handle, ambidextrous safety, which is mil-spec style, a B5 extended trigger guard, so if you're wearing those thick gloves, you can still get to work out there, a traditional magazine release and bolt lock. The trigger is a nickel Teflon mil-spec job, which actually isn't half bad for a mil-spec trigger. The barrel's 4150 chromoly. It's chambered in 5.56 with a 1-in-7 twist rate, and it's melanite coated, which is going to ensure the barrel is protected. It's unknown what the bolt and carrier are actually made of because it's not listed on their website, and I didn't really get an answer back at this point when I started filming the video. However, it's at least magnetic particle inspected as it's marked on the bolt. The gas block out front is proprietary with a proprietary threaded and straight gas tube to help with recoil reduction and gas leakage. Think kind of like the Knights armament design, just a little bit different. The barrel's finished off with their KFM taper lock device for the RD cans, and it works quite well since it's reverse threaded. I did run the SC5 can from Radical Defense, which is their printed flow-through design, and I will say it was actually one of the more pleasant suppressors I have run in some time. It seemed that they've got those flow things set just right, and having seen these things run on machine guns for endless amounts of rounds without damage, they're doing pretty well with those. Now for 1,299 galactic credits, it seems to have checked a lot of boxes as far as parts and materials and kind of how it's put together, but we did have some problems out there on the range. For those that need it, I will toss a spec sheet up here for you so you can pause the video and read each thing if you are interested. And if you guys are interested in anything you see here today, like that Streamlight or the optic or anything, I'll have a build list linked down below so you can check it out, do all of your own research on all that stuff. Watching this on TV, I'll put a QR code up here so you can check everything out for yourself. The biggest problem I experienced out there is from round 1 to like just under 500. It did not seem to want to feed rounds if you had a 28, 26, 27 round magazine or more. And when you got down to around 25 rounds, it seemed to feed okay. At this time, I'm not real sure if the issue lies in the lower or in the upper, or maybe a combination of the two. Now, upon inspection, I did notice a pretty abnormal amount of copper was being pulled off of the round as it was being sent into the chamber. And it appears that either the feed ramps maybe are misaligned or there's something going on with the lugs right there in the barrel extension to where it is just absolutely hanging those rounds up and causing some feeding issues. And to kind of show you all of what occurred out there in the range, we'll just kind of walk through it as it happened out there. Oh, that didn't feed so well. Right there. Didn't go all the way home. Can't even push it all the way home. Let's go ahead and try that again. This is really not starting off good, guys. What's going on? So, all right, we're back. We're gonna try an aluminum mag and different ammo. Everything's in, same thing. Bolt won't even close. I don't know what's going on. It could be the chamber, it could be a bolt issue. Okay, so I think I've got it. It seems to be that if I load any magazine more than about 25 rounds, the bolt just will not cycle. So I'm assuming there's a tolerance issue with the magazine release or the depth of the mag well or something. But it will actually fire. So we'll get through it here today and see what happens, or see if she loosens up a bit. Not terrible. So, nope, bolt didn't go all the way home. Okay, so fresh PMag, it's loaded down a few rounds. As you can see how much my thumb's going into it. We are bolt lock. Okay, so that one actually went home. We'll see if she cycles. Seems to be doing better, but we'll see towards the end of the day, a few hundred more rounds, what happens. This one's probably loaded 5 rounds down. We'll see if the bolt goes home. It does, but feels pretty slow. Looks good, keep rolling. Solid 300 rounds in. We're gonna do another test of like a tactical exchange. So we got a round on the chamber, put our mag in. It's pretty hard to lock in, but it did lock in. We'll see if it cycles. It's a 28 round mag with one in the pipe. Feels interesting. It's like you can almost feel the bolt dragging on the magazine on that first like round or two, but seems to be doing much better. I'm gonna go load a full magazine and kind of see where we're at. All right, we got a few more rounds through it now. We've got a Lancer mag loaded to 28 rounds. We are bolt lock. The problem seems to be more so with the polymer mags than the aluminum. So yeah, bolts still on the Lancer won't go at all. The Lancers do feel tighter than the P-mags do. So we'll get a full P-mag or a P-mag loaded to 28 rounds and see if that one functions now. Okay, so we got a P-mag now and we are loaded down a few, as you can see. Bolt lock. So yeah, same thing. We're like close to 350, 400 rounds. It just seems to be very picky. You can see it kind of went forward there, and then I got to use a forward assist to get it back in the bolt. It just seems to be very tight. It's very picky with magazines. I don't know if it's just the dimensions of the mag well. Maybe the mag release is set too high in there, or maybe the mag release itself is out of spec. So it runs, it actually feels quite good, but it just it doesn't reliably feed with multiple magazines, anything from PMag Gen 3, Gen 2 MOEs, Lancer mags, aluminum mags. So definitely a problem. But now, you know, why not? We're gonna throw their whisper pickle on it and have some fun that way. Now, it's not all bad. So I have a test group of 1, and having seen this rifle at event go through thousands of rounds without issue, and knowing at least 2 other guys that have them that aren't having any problems, It seems to be that I'm just the lucky one getting the problem children these days. So there was some problems there, but we're gonna go through all of the other good stuff that this rifle does come with so you guys can make a fair assessment. The biggest positive for me on the range was they had their gassing system set right, especially when you throw the can on. It was very pleasant to the point where I did my first drill and this is what I said. This runs exceptionally well with this can. That was the first bill drill with a can, and that was quite nice. So not only am I'm not getting a lot of gas back in the face, which is probably a mix of the charging handle and the flow of that can, but it's nice. Okay, we're gonna come up on a reload. We're gonna use that Lancer mag, see if that is gonna work. Just barely fed. So with or without the can, they just seem to have done their research on how to port that barrel and they got things right. It was extremely pleasant to shoot out there. It had a very straight back recoil impulse and it was very predictable. It actually does have a very nice quality fit, finish, and feel to it overall out there. And when it was running, when I was using magazines that had less rounds than you probably would want in there, it seemed to function actually really well and the recoil impulse was very good. And again, with or without the can, it was just a pleasant rifle to shoot. The trigger is actually pretty solid. It does have an ambidextrous safety on it, which is kind of the mil-spec style, so I prefer the shorter one on the offhand side. The B5 furniture, it's just the way to go. Their rail lock up here is actually quite nice. They use really good, nice, thick hardware and thick attachments that's steel on steel, not a steel screw through aluminum. 7-sided M-lock, pretty cool. And of course, you get the suppressor-ready muzzle device. So overall, the feel was good, and I really wanted this thing to work out because at $12.99, that's a pretty good value, especially since it comes with those nice Griffin armament flip-up sights, pretty good charging handle. Overall, I had some expectations that were high, and unfortunately, they weren't met. So we did have those problems. This rifle will get sent back to them, and I will do a follow-up, whether it's in a bulk format with several other rifles that I've had issues with, because again, it just seems to be that I've got the bug going on right now. And for some reason, I'm getting the problem children. So test group of 1, they sent it in. I'm sending it back and hopefully it comes back in working order. Now, if you have an RD rifle, let us know how it's working out for you because I'm very curious again, since I've seen these at events before go thousands of rounds. I know a couple guys that have them that have well over 1,000 rounds through them and they're just doing fine. Mine's not. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel. The build list will be down below if you're interested in anything you see here today. Keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.